Or maybe, Bobby, Davi's got a little bit of damage to that car. He's only running, Jones's last lap was a 2:25. He's picked it up a little bit, and Pedri was a 2:23, so he's obviously not complaining too much.
Yeah, Jones whittled away about 3/10. There it is, the change on the last lap, Gary Gerald.
And checking in on Alessandro Zampedri, Walter Gerber in radio contact with his driver. We're asking them, did you make the stop on the last yellow? Yes, they did. Are you okay to go the distance? Yes, but we are slightly concerned, he said. It could be very close. Right now, the fuel mileage reading they're getting is, however, a healthy 2 miles per gallon. Anything over 1.8 puts them in a strong category. At least that's my belief, Paul.
I think they're all going to make it, Troop. I think we're going to have one heck of a good race to the end.
Well, I think it's going to be interesting whether they do or they don't, because it looks like if they don't, it's going to be maybe with the last mile or a half to go. 24 laps to go in the Indianapolis 500, and we are going to stay with you the entire way now as we watch a potential new champion, Alessandro Zampedri. He leads, but Davi Jones just nicked off another 2/10. So Davi's very definitely closing.
Well, the other thing is he might be able to get behind him. He still has to pass him. And, Bobby, as you know, guys get awful tough toward the end of the Indianapolis 500 when it comes to getting passed for the lead.
The closer it gets to the end, the harder they are to pass. And, you know, I always used to have a rule. Don't ever make an issue or make it come to an issue at the latter part of the race. If you're going to break them early. As far as passing guys, do it before they have a chance to get all that adrenaline running.
Let's go to Jack Arute.
Let's update you first on Roberto Guerrero. The question mark still remains, did they take on enough fuel to go the distance? Alan Pegg and John Barnes still trying to calculate that using the onboard telemetry. Meanwhile, no reports from Davi Jones to Rick Gallis as to any problems mechanically on the car. But this time when I asked Gallis again, can you go the distance, he said, I'm beginning to think we might come up short.
Alessandro Zampedri last year started 17th, finished 11th in the Indianapolis 500. This is his second year, but look at the interval as Davi Jones continues to whittle it down. Update on Zampedri and his fuel, Gary?
Well, yeah, a radio conversation monitored between the crew and the driver. They're urging him, if he can, to stay in the draft, which tells me they're very concerned about whether or not he can go to the 200-lap mark.
Well, you know, these cars have already done, Gary and everybody, have done 40 laps before most of them. They're all the same engine, so theoretically, they should make it all right.
What you're looking at here, there is Hearn as he is trying to chase down Guerrero. It's a battle for fourth place now, and Hearn's beginning to reel him in. And the last lap, the TMA8 engine treatment update, 219 miles an hour for Richie Hearn.
But the lap before that, he had actually run 226. All the first 5 guys are running about the same laps. A lot of it depends on how they are in traffic. And one thing you said, Bobby, that's true is that, of course, all these guys got pretty much about the same engines and the same consumption. So if one of them's going to have to stop, more than likely the other ones are too.
At the front, Zampedri is being closed by Jones, now down to 6/10. Jones continues to whittle away while Hearn works on Guerrero. In the meantime, Buddy Lazier sits in 3rd place, and he's not involved in a contest on either side.
That's right, but he's also turning laps. He just turned a lap at 227, and then I looked down, Richie Hearn started running 228, while Guerrero was at 225, and Zampedri and Jones are in the 223 mark.
And Buddy Lazier is moving up. The problem is like we've said all along, it's sometimes easier to move up than it is to pass, and that's where Buddy's going to have a problem.
Just crossing the 180th lap, heading for lap 181.
I think all these pit stops, if everybody notices how touchy it gets on fuel consumption and everything, all has to do with teamwork. We always talk about it, but that starts showing you how important. For example, in Lazier's deal, he should easily be leading the race. The problem was that Lee Kuzman brought him in too late. The old rule, Danny, like I said, first in, first out. Those guys should know that because they've been going at it a lot of years.
You got a glimpse there. Looks like we're getting some bottoming on Guerrero's car now.
Well, we are. He's got that down low, but I thought I heard something, which out of Richie Hearn's car was the rev limiter when he was being drafted down the straight by Guerrero. Now, that'll be interesting because that'll mean he can get up to him, but he can't necessarily pass him.
Well, Hearn is right there right now. Zampedri. Jones has kind of stabilized at 0.7 of a second behind the leader of the race, Alessandro Zampedri.
Yes, but Buddy Lazier is turning laps up there in the 228s, so he's going to be closing down on him.
Lazier's moving up about a second a lap.
And Lazier is now 3.4 seconds behind the leader. Oh, it's just great.
And let's not forget the cars get awful tough to pass when it comes down to the last 20, 15, 10 laps.
And you know, they don't handle as good, Danny. They're light on fuel.
Look at Hearn. Look at Hearn. Hearn got right up behind Guerrero. Almost got him. At the same time, you watch the numbers change at the top of the screen on Zampedri and Jones. And Jones is now only 0.4 back.
Shows how tough it is to pass him. He's drafting him awful well down there. He's running a little bit quicker, but he's got to be able to get by.
You can see how important the drafting is because they're looking like a snake going down the road.
The interval between Guerrero and Hearn is 0.1 of a second. And Jones now right behind Zampedri. Zampedri, that red number 8. And Davi Jones, the black and white number 70, just behind him.
Traffic is going to play a critical part, it looks like, toward the end of the race.
Jones closing in. Look at the difference as he was closing, just inching further forward. But here's something to consider. In the 79 previous runnings of the 500, 12 times the driver leading with 10 laps to go has not won the race. An additional 12 leading at lap 180 have also not won at the 500.
And if fuel is going to affect any of them, it could be just most all of them, Hulk.
Oh, and it looks like Richie Hearn
got
passed
him.
Guerrero.
He got him, and got him big time.
Look at that. We didn't see the pass, but boy, he's moved right out in front of him.
So Hearn moves into 4th place. It's Zampedri, Jones, Lazier, Hearn, and Guerrero. 5 cars on the lead lap. There is Richie Hearn. What a nice, smooth day he's had. Formula Atlantic champion, comes out of a road racing background, but has found his way around Indianapolis.
Davy Jones doesn't seem to be pressing it with them Pedri. He just seems to be following, using a good draft. My idea there is that they're a little short on fuel. He's trying to conserve some. Gallus is going to give him the go-ahead later on to see if he can pass.
And here is the fight for the lead as they close down on the green and white car of Eliseo Salazar. That red car, of course, is Zampedri. And Jones is chasing. Dropped back a little bit in the past couple of laps. That's through traffic.
Could be through traffic. But you know what? We also heard from Zampedri that they said stay in the draft as much as possible. Maybe that's what Davy's doing, is just sitting back there for a little bit longer to conserve a little bit more fuel.
Salazar just ahead. Zampedri and Jones, the battle for the lead. Now back down under half a second.
Track is still good. The track is still fast.
Bobby, these guys are turning up some fast times. They're running 224s, 226s. And Richie Hearn's up there in the 228 mark, because he's got the most ground to make up. But they're driving quick.
And they're real light on fuel. And that really makes the cars hard to handle at the latter part of the race, and the track is a little bit slippery.
But I still think they're going to be very close on fuel. What about it, Jackaroo?
Well, we're just going to ask Rick Gallus real quick. What do you think?
It's going to be real tough. We're going to need some help.
Drafting important right now may account for the reason why he hasn't made a real assault on the lead yet.
I got a feeling that the help that he was talking about was maybe more of a yellow. And the problem is you can't back off. You got to run these speeds. They're running not necessarily wide open, but they're running pretty fast. How about down to you, Gary?
Well, Danny, one of the advantages of having 7 cars in this race for Team Scandia is that hopefully, when you need to conserve fuel, you can draft with one of your teammates. That's exactly what they're trying to arrange right now for Alessandro Zampedri. They're trying to get Eliseo Salazar, who is down a lap, to slow down a little bit so that Zampedri can draft. They say the fuel situation is still touch and go for the race leader.
Boy, I
remember, if you run out of fuel, like coming around where I am in turn 2, you can't coast all the way around the start-finish line and get it. So
Yeah,
it really could cost a race.
And Bobby, I think we're talking about this draft, and I mean, it might save you a little fuel, but I don't think it's going to save you that much. And I sure hate getting